So this video is going to be a little bit different. Today we have a good old-fashioned rant video because somebody just had to go and trigger me in the YouTube comment section. And so I think you guys are going to really enjoy this one. So don't expect a lot of editing, but strap in for a lot of entertainment. And don't worry, we've got some no BS advice here too. So in this particular comment, I had to deal with, hey, why don't you get a real job in the real world and stop trying to get rich off of YouTube? So what's my reaction to this? You know what? Grab some popcorn real quick. So what's a real job? Well, last time I checked, anything the IRS makes you pay taxes on probably counts as a real job. And you know what? Back in the day when I actually, had a quote unquote real job or a traditional job working for somebody else, the reality is recently, for the last couple of years, I've probably paid more in taxes every year than I used to make at that real job. Just saying. Oh, here's one of my favorites. What are you going to do if YouTube goes away? You should just work for a living in the real world. What if YouTube goes away? What are you going to be left with then? Well, first of all, if you guys haven't watched my video on my multiple income streams and you were wondering, well, what would I do if YouTube went away? Then you might want to check out that video. But as for, what if YouTube went away? First of all, if that happened, that would mean that Google was in trouble, and that would mean the world probably came to an end. Oh, and wait, what if the real world goes away? 2020 would like to have a word with you. But in all seriousness, the 2020 issues, the global pandemic probably taught us all that there's no such thing as job security if you didn't make a job for yourself. And this is not to hate on or shame anybody working a 9-to-5 job. If you want to do that, and if you are in a position to do that, then that's great if you are getting what you want out of it. Most people who decide that they want to be a content creator on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok weren't getting what they wanted out of a 9-to-5 job. There is nothing wrong with leaving a situation where you don't feel like you're being paid enough, treated the way that you want to be treated, if you feel like you're being disrespected or in an abusive situation of some kind, or if you just feel like you're not using your God-given gifts and talents and not living up to your potential, then why would you stay at something just so people can feel like you have a real job when it's not what you want to do? Why are we judging people for how they make their money? Look, I'm not going to sit here and shame somebody who's a day trader and say that they didn't earn their money or that they don't have a real job. There are people who will do that. I'm just not one of them. In the same way that I'm not going to rag on somebody for whether or not they want to be a plumber or electrician or a TikToker or an Instagrammer or a YouTuber, or whether they want to open up an OnlyFans. As long as they're paying their taxes, then God bless. It's not really any of my business. But see, if you decide to be a content creator, you're supposed to take criticism. I have no interest in taking criticism from people that I wouldn't take advice from. If I'm not going to take advice from you, I'm certainly not going to take criticism from you. And frankly, you're lucky at that point that I just don't sweep the leg. I know that we're supposed to, as online people and online personalities, put up with this nonsense, but I'm very generous with the block button, the ban button, and the delete button because I frankly don't have the patience for it. It's not about having a thick enough skin, it's that frankly, I just don't have the patience. Because from my point of view, we need to have a realistic conversation about what the future of work looks like in the first place. There's a real chance that rather than somebody's ability to make money on the internet disappearing overnight, that real world situations, not unlike what happened with the pandemic, are going to eliminate a lot of people's ability to work a 9-to-5 job, even if that's a situation they wanted to have. There's any number of things that can happen. And even without a global catastrophe, you could still get fired because of office politics, or because of some form of discrimination, or frankly, because you have an idiot boss who runs the company into the ground, or God forbid the world changes in a way that makes it very hard for your industry. How many people had their jobs or their careers completely disrupted by what happened in 2020 or by the economic crisis of 2008 for that fact of the matter? And if it's not something like that, it's more than likely going to be automation. You know what people can't necessarily automate away? You know what can't be automated away? Creativity. At the end of the day, that's probably one of the last bastions of human value that is not going to be displaced by technology. There are a lot of people who would love to have a 9-to-5 job, but you know what? They can't. Some of them have a chronic illness. Good thing there's something called the internet where you can make money on your own terms. You can set your own schedule. You can do gig work as a freelancer on Fiverr. You can be a content creator on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok, and you can make a living around your lifestyle instead of being beholden to an archaic schedule, usually filled with busy work and toxic productivity. Told you guys this one was going to be a spicy rant. Job security doesn't exist. Period. We should have learned that from 2020, but apparently some people didn't get the memo yet. On top of all of that, even if in the best of circumstances you want to, there are all kinds of gatekeepers out there. Lord forbid you made a mistake when you were a teenager, you may have something in your background that completely disqualifies you from a job no matter how talented you are. Or God forbid, you weren't in a position to afford to go to college or to get a degree or to go to the right school, or God forbid somebody else have nepotism in their favor, you may not get an opportunity, and deserve has nothing to do with it. So we keep on kind of having this rhetoric of dismissing and belittling people who choose an alternative path in life when the default future hasn't exactly been too kind or been too generous to the far majority of people we know and love. If you're watching this video, there's a real chance that you have a parent or a grandparent who worked their whole life for somebody else to make somebody else rich, and how did that work out for them? Last I checked, there are probably 60% of Americans before the pandemic that only had $1,000 or less in savings for an emergency, 80% of Americans with less than $10,000. And while I'm not saying you will have it better if you're a content creator or an entrepreneur, I am saying that ultimately, at the end of the day, all of these people who really completely insist on diminishing what we do in favor of alternatives that already didn't work for us, may not have worked for anyone that we personally know. Maybe they can find great examples. Maybe that's their circle. Maybe they're in that very privileged position of everyone they know with a stable 9-to-5 job is absolutely crushing it. But guess what? That's not everybody, and it's not for everybody, and we need to stop pretending it is, and stop pretending that things like, automation, pretending like things like a global pandemic can't sit there and rip it all away, leaving you in a position where you're massively vulnerable if it was your single source of income. Content creators need to get a real job? No, content creators have like 10 real jobs. Writing and researching for scripts, graphic design, photography, lighting, best boy grip, video editing, video production, live stream broadcasting, audio editing, any number of real world skills that translate to a wonderful and great salary and a fulfilling career for creative people. So why not do that at a 9-to-5 job for a company? Well, not everybody's going to want to hire you. Not everyone's going to give you an opportunity. Not everyone's going to give you a chance. But you know what's the great thing about the internet? With the internet, the market decides. The market decides. In many ways, it's as close as we're ever going to get to true meritocracy. People will choose to support you with their eyeballs and with their wallets. And while the platforms are not perfect, I did make a video making some very valid criticisms about that. The thing is, the opportunity is still boundless on the internet, and there is a diversity of platforms. I'm someone who believes that you diversify your platforms, you diversify your income, and you take as many shots as possible and as are reasonable for you given your circumstances. That's what I believe in. You think I put all my eggs in the YouTube basket? I've made a ton of videos explaining exactly why I didn't and how I didn't. I used YouTube to help market my business and build my email list. I insist that people build an email list, build their own website, and I think a lot of content creators should look at the opportunities of e-commerce, affiliate marketing, really building like a kind of direct-to-consumer style business, and that they should also build up their audience and then get them to support them in royalty opportunities that can keep paying them for a lifetime, even sometimes past their lifetime. Musicians and authors, they don't make money just in their sleep, they make money long after they're dead. You want to talk about passive income? Making money in your sleep? Child's play. Doesn't happen overnight, but it's child's play. You want to talk about real passive income? How about making money from the grave? That's the goal. So yeah, YouTube goes away would make me a little bit uncomfortable for a very temporary period of time. There's a reason that I'm doing other ventures. For one thing, I have other YouTube channels. Something I've actually recently started doing is I've started working with a producer, Frost FM. Great dude. He's been helping me come up with original music, copyright free for creators, and we launched a YouTube channel, Zen Buster Music. And so he's gonna get royalties off the music. I'm gonna get royalties off the music in Spotify, and then I'm also going to generate ad revenue once that channel is monetized. I'm also working on books and ebooks. That's royalty income. It's funny, people talk about got a real job. A real job is one source of income. Earned income. You know, we're taught in school about two things. We're taught about earned income from working for wages, and we're taught about business income, profits from a business. And that's only two types of income the IRS taxes instead of the 7 types of income the IRS taxes. And I'm doing everything I can right now to fill out those other 5 buckets, one of them being income from royalties. So that's something I actually want to talk about in another video. If you're not subscribed, you'll want to go ahead and take care of that. Even if you have a 9-to-5 job, you could be fired, the industry can go under, or something can happen in the world that removes your capacity to make a living from that single source of income. I believe in things like side hustles, and I've made videos about side hustles because I don't believe in being beholden and relying on any single source of income, whether it would be a 9-to-5 job or whether it be YouTube AdSense revenue or the YouTube platform. I believe in taking your skills, your abilities, and the tools available to you with things like the internet and these online platforms, use them to your maximum advantage to build out the 7 main types of income that are taxable by the IRS, which also would give you the beginnings of the 7 income streams of most millionaires. And while I'm not guaranteeing that you're going to be a millionaire, building and reinforcing millionaire habits isn't the worst thing in the world you could do with your time and energy. As long as you're doing it in a way that honors your gifts, respects your current situation, doesn't put you in a position to burn out or to compromise on your ethical values, then I don't see anything wrong with pursuing that kind of path. And for many people who work a 9-to-5 job, they do it sometimes at the expense of not doing things that they love. They end up doing something they hate. They may not be making the contribution they want to the world. They may even feel that the company or industry they work in makes the world a worse place instead of a better one. And then there are a lot of people who just don't get to utilize their God-given skills and talents and really feel like they're fulfilled in a vocation. And I don't really think that people should have to go through that just so people can respect that they have a real job or a traditional job. And I'm kind of tired of hearing it. Now, I know that there are some people who are well-meaning. There are people who, when they talk to you as a content creator, you as an artist, you as a performer, that they want stability and a future for you. But ultimately, I just don't believe that going forward in the 21st century, that for a lot of people who aren't working maybe for a Fortune 500 company, that's gonna come from a conventional job that's readily available and accessible. I do think there is a massive future for people who go into trade professions like plumbing or electrical work if they want to do that and they like working with their hands. But I also think there's nothing wrong with pursuing creativity. In fact, I advocate for it, and it's the thesis of this entire channel. And I want to help more people get into creative careers, not just as content creators, but as the people who work for them. I want some of you to be able to get that side hustle in by going ahead and starting a career in freelancing that might make you some extra money on the side, but also give you a way to use your skills that you desperately want to explore in a way that your current 9-to-5 job may not allow for, because maybe the only job you were able to get very quickly and be able to take care of yourself is something that, frankly, doesn't make the best use of your natural talent. At the end of the day, I'm of the opinion that a job a quote unquote job, what people like to call just over broke, is a means to an end. It is a way for some people to make a living for themselves, provide sustenance for themselves and their family. And ultimately, from my opinion, you should pursue something like the cash flow quadrant in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'll link to it in the description down below. And what that would look like is transitioning from being an employee who ultimately has no leverage to eventually being self-employed, where you've created a job for yourself. And so you have some autonomy and you have a little bit of freedom, maybe not in terms of freedom of time, but freedom of choice and priorities. And so you go from there to hopefully eventually building a business that scales, a business that allows you more freedom in terms of time and choice. And then eventually, because you're making enough, you would hopefully get to invest in your future and move to becoming an investor. A lot of people do this within the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. I'm a big advocate of some of the things in the FIRE movement. I have my own opinions on a path to it. I'm someone who basically considers themselves practically retired because what I get to do every day is what I want in my own way, on my own terms. You know, if you're an artist, if you're a creative person, there's not really any such thing as retirement. A writer wants to write until the day that they die. A musician wants to play music until the day that they die. A painter wants to paint until the day that they die. So if you are a creative person, it's less about retiring from something as much as it is retiring to something that you enjoy more. And that's where I think I want to leave it today. Question of the day. Do you feel better now about this whole real job thing? And what are your thoughts about the criticism that creative people have to put up with from people who don't get it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you're checking out my videos on multiple income streams. I'm gonna put one up here in the info card and the description. Also check out my playlist on how to find a side hustle. I think it would help a lot of you out. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.